For as long as humans have tried to understand the world, they've asked one unsettling question: who is really in charge? In earlier ages, the answer was simple. Power had a face, a throne, a temple. Today, there is no single throne to point at. You vote. You work. You follow the rules. Yet somehow, the world keeps moving in directions you never chose. Prices rise. Wars appear. Technologies reshape jobs. Narratives change overnight. And across countries, cultures, and political systems, millions of people feel the same thing. Someone, somewhere, is shaping outcomes beyond their reach. Lives are being made somewhere else by forces they cannot touch. So, before we ask who controls the world, we must ask a deeper question. What kind of power even exists in a world this interconnected? Because the truth is more unsettling than any secret society. To understand it, we have to stop looking for hidden rulers and start examining the visible systems that organize power in the modern world. Number 1. Governments, the face of power. Let's step inside the world's most powerful government and expose the deeper layers where power truly operates, often unseen and rarely questioned. When people say, "Who runs the US government?" they imagine a single driver, the president. The three visible engines, what everyone can see. 1. Congress, House plus Senate. This is where money and law are shaped. Congress can approve budgets, block spending, launch investigations, and even remove top officials through impeachment processes. 2. The President plus Executive Branch. The President doesn't write most laws. The President operates the machine. Through the White House and federal agencies, the Executive Branch runs the day-to-day state, enforcement, diplomacy, national security, and crisis management. 3. The courts, especially the Supreme Court. Courts don't control armies or budgets, but they can stop governments by deciding what is legal and what is not. In a system where law is sacred, interpretation becomes power. But what the public sees is only the surface. The real question begins where visibility ends. Who runs it in practice? The invisible hands. First come the major departments and agencies, structures that don't vanish when presidents change. Department of Defense, Pentagon. State Department. Treasury. Homeland Security. This layer is not shadow rule, it's continuity. It's the system that survives elections. Second come the committees and budget gatekeepers. They work from offices and committee rooms on Capitol Hill, inside the United States Congress. Ideas reach them through lawmakers, government agencies, lobbyists, and major events like crises or wars. Once an idea enters Congress, it is sent to a committee first. These ideas are discussed inside committee rooms and closed meetings, not on the main voting floor. The committees decide whether an idea gets a hearing and whether it gets funding. They do this by approving or blocking schedules and budgets. If an idea is not discussed or not funded, it is never sent to the House or Senate floor. That means no public debate and no vote ever happens. This is how ideas can quietly disappear without public attention. Third comes the intelligence and security world. Agencies like the CIA, NSA, and the broader intelligence network don't run the country, but they operate with knowledge ordinary citizens and even many politicians don't have. Fourth, and finally, comes the Federal Reserve layer. The Federal Reserve is not the government in the normal sense, but it can move the financial ground under the government's feet. When the Fed changes policy, it changes borrowing costs, market confidence, housing demand, business investment, and sometimes the survival space for entire economies, inside and outside America. because so much of the world runs through the dollar system. Now we look at another powerful force that shapes the world beyond governments. Financial empires. If governments are the face of power, finance is the atmosphere. You don't see it, but you live inside it. And when it changes, everyone feels it. Here, first come the central banks, the weather makers of the global economy. These are the institutions that influence interest rates, liquidity, inflation pressure, and crisis stability. Federal Reserve, USA, European Central Bank, Eurozone, People's Bank of China, Bank of Japan, Bank of England. They don't usually command governments directly, but they can tighten or loosen the oxygen supply that economies breathe through. Think of it like this. A government can promise jobs and growth, but if financial conditions tighten, the promise becomes expensive, sometimes impossible. Second comes the Bank for International Settlements, based in Basel. It is where central banks meet, share ideas, and coordinate their plans. It doesn't make rules for the public. It shapes how central banks think before policies are announced. If you want to understand the direction of global finance, Basel often tells you what central banks are discussing before the public even hears it. Third comes the hidden plumbing, the systems that move money. This is the part most people never learn, but it matters because power often lives in infrastructure. SWIFT, a global messaging network banks use to send cross-border payment instructions. It doesn't hold money, it helps money move. And when access is restricted, countries feel it like a financial lockdown. These systems don't tell the world what to do, they make the world able to do it. Now we come to another powerful force that shapes the planet. Number 3, corporate giants, private governments. How corporate power really works behind the scenes. Supply chains, controlling the pipes of the world. They are the ones that control shipping routes, energy extraction, raw materials, manufacturing bottlenecks. If a company controls a choke point, ports, chips, energy, logistics, it doesn't need to rule nations. Nations come to it. Under corporate power, second come platforms. Platforms are digital places where people sell, work, and speak. They don't just provide space, they set the rules. A small update can help a business grow or force it to shut down. A creator can become visible or disappear. A message can spread or be buried. Then come standards and ecosystems, silent lock-in. Some companies don't control people by force, but by dependency. Think of the Apple ecosystem. iPhone, Mac, AirPods, apps, and iCloud work best together. Leaving means changing devices, apps, data, and habits. When millions depend on one system like this, leaving becomes costly and painful. That difficulty keeps people inside, and that dependency becomes power. Finally comes lobbying and revolving doors. Corporations don't usually fight governments. They get involved early while rules are being written. Former regulators join companies. Former company executives advise governments. This means the same people often help write the rules on both sides. So policy is shaped through negotiation, not open conflict. A few categories explain everything. Cloud and digital infrastructure. Energy and commodities. A farmer and health supply chains. And defense contractors. Global retail and logistics. Now we see another global ruler, media systems, the legitimacy engine. How media power actually works. What is repeated feels important. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates credibility. What is ignored fades from reality. Silence doesn't argue. It erases. Framing is the real weapon. The same event can feel heroic or criminal, necessary or cruel, patriotic, or dangerous. The facts may not change, the story wrapper does. The old media hierarchy is gone. Traditional media competes with platforms. Platforms compete with creators. Creators compete with outrage, speed, and emotion. Now comes the hidden ruler of the plot: technology and algorithms, the invisible hand on the mind. This is the newest layer of power, and the least understood. Algorithms don't issue orders, they reshape behavior quietly, at scale. What algorithms actually do? Algorithms do not decide what is true. They decide what gets shown. And what gets shown gets noticed. What gets noticed gets discussed. What gets discussed shapes belief. So far, we've examined systems built by humans, governments, banks, media, and algorithms. But systems don't operate themselves. Now we look at a forgotten category. The class that outlived kings. Power that evolved, not vanished. Modern history teaches us a comforting story. That power once belonged to kings. Then revolutions came. Kings fell. Democracy rose. Institutions replaced dynasties. And power was returned to the people. This story is incomplete. Because when political systems change, power does not disappear. It changes form. Who were these people originally? In the age of kings and empires, power was not held by kings alone. Behind monarchs existed a small, stable class that financed wars, administered empires, advised rulers, controlled trade routes, preserved knowledge, managed religion, law, and education. They were not the throne, they were the infrastructure behind the throne. This class included great merchant families, landholding elites, court financiers, religious authorities, scholars and administrators. Kings ruled territory. This class managed continuity. What happened when kings fell? When monarchies collapsed or weakened, most visible power changed hands. Crowns disappeared, flags changed, constitutions were written. But the deep systems did not reset. The key mistake is assuming that democracy wiped out elite continuity. It didn't. It simply forced adaptation. How this class evolved. Instead of ruling openly, this class did three things. 1. They detached from visible authority. They stopped being the face of power. No more crowns, no more divine claims, no public worship. Visibility became a liability. So power moved behind institutions. 2. They embedded themselves into systems. As the world modernized, power shifted from bloodlines to structures. Finance, law, education, trade, bureaucracy, technology. This class moved into banking and capital networks, legal frameworks, multinational trade, elite education systems. They no longer needed armies. They influenced rules, flows, and standards. They abandoned short-term rule for long-term positioning. What are they now? Today, this class exists as multi-generational wealth holders, institutional families, custodians of long-standing capital, controllers of trade corridors, shapers of education pipelines, quiet partners in state and corporate ecosystems. They rarely appear in elections. They rarely speak in headlines. They rarely need popularity. What do they control today? They influence. They don't decide elections. They shape the environment elections operate in. They don't control leaders. They shape the constraints leaders inherit. So who really controls the world? We didn't give you a single name, a hidden room, or a final ruler. Because power today doesn't live in one place. It lives in systems, structures, flows, and disciplines. Institutions that learned how to adapt as the world changed. We've shown you the layers. The rest is for you to observe. And if you believe there's another force shaping the world that we missed, leave it in the comments. Let's map power together. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe, like, comment, and share. Be part of our journey. Beyond identities, beyond borders, beyond divisions, our destiny is one. You are watching Next Horizon Global.